Alright, guys. Jullie moeten een beetje naar beneden. Alright, guys. Welkom bij een nieuwe Tattletales. Ik had gisteren een Tattletales opgenomen en er was niet zoveel te vertellen. Dus toen heb ik eigenlijk een video gemaakt over everything I've learned about love as a 29-year-old happily engaged woman. Dat leek me gewoon best wel leuk om het een beetje over de liefde te hebben en over alles wat ik weet over het hebben van een succesvolle, gezonde relatie. Want ik heb echt de gezondste relatie die er is. Het is crazy. Maar toen stumblede ik over het hele Undone by Kate drama. En ik heb dus gewoon besloten dat ik alsnog daar een TED-tales over ga maken. Ik was ook niet super tevreden over die van gisteren. Ik had het dus niet voorbereid, omdat ik dacht, ik wil gewoon kletsen met jullie zoals vriendinnen doen, weet je wel. Maar daardoor werd het gewoon wel een beetje rommelig. Dus misschien dat ik deze alsnog edit voor volgende week als er weer niet echt onderwerpen zijn. Of misschien dat ik hem gewoon opnieuw opneem en dan wel een soort van onderwerpen voorbereid, zodat het iets meer structuur heeft. Maar ik moet het ook gewoon nog even terugkijken. Het is nu super vroeg dinsdagochtend, zodat ik op tijd dit kan uploaden. Maar we moeten het hebben over Undone by Kate. We kunnen het niet hebben over Undone by Kate. En ik heb nog geen Nederlandse mensen in de comments betrapt. En jullie hebben het volgens mij tot nu toe niet aangeraden aan me. Wacht, ik kan natuurlijk dus er gevraagd. Even kijken of iemand het zegt. Het is wel echt komkommertijd hoor, jongens. Het is echt zo ingewikkeld om een interessante video ook voor mijn feed te maken. En ik weiger gewoon niet te posten, want ik ga te lekker te hard om een stapje terug te doen. Maar ja, ik heb net iets over de Tate-broers gepost. Het gaat echt niet hard. Wat ik begrijp. Want ik vind de Tate-broers ook echt zo oninteressant. Also, ik zie er een beetje ziekjes uit. Ik ben niet ziek. Maar ik had dus Paula's Choice Pro retinol altijd. En toen had ik per ongeluk Paula's Choice 1% gekocht. Bleef ik op hetzelfde tempo gebruiken. Nou, dat was dus dom. Ik dacht eigenlijk dat de 1% minder sterk was. Dat bleek niet zo te zijn. En mijn huid staat letterlijk in de fik. Dus ik heb even geen gezichtsmake-up op, geen zelfbruiner op. Niks. Literally, my skin is burning off. So, goed. Daarom zie ik eruit zoals ik eruit zie. Ja, let's get into it. Ik heb hier zin in. We gaan het dus hebben over trouwjurken. My favorite subject. Eigenlijk altijd al, maar zeker nu ik zelf ga trouwen. Gewoon, ach, ik hou van trouwjurken. En ik kan jullie een klein beetje extra insight geven, want mijn jurk gaat ook gemaakt worden. En als jullie een trouwe volger zijn, dan kunnen jullie vast raden door wie. Zo niet, geef het een maand en dan komen de eerste video's online. Het wordt geweldig. Maar ik heb daardoor wel iets meer insight in het maken, ontwerpen en designen van een trouwjurk dan je gewone persoon die niet gaat trouwen en een jurk gaat laten maken. Wat er dus is gebeurd is, er is een bedrijf dat heet Undone by Kate. En Undone by Kate is een bedrijf die bruidsculturen maakt, bruidsjurken, voor influencers, voor niet-influencers, voor iedereen die een custom jurk wilt. En het is gewoon allemaal niet zo mooi. Nou, en er is dus een exposé over haar gemaakt van 10 minuten. En die gaan we even samen kijken.
Now that the experience is pretty much behind me, I want to talk about my wedding dress from hell. I'm going to try to get through this without getting like too angry and freaking out. But basically I got a custom made wedding dress, I suppose. Last year in like September, October 2025, I started interviewing designers to go custom for my wedding dress because I wasn't really finding what I was looking for, and I knew I wanted something super simple. And I wanted the experience of going custom. I did the math of how much it would cost for me to make or to buy a new dress and also pay for alterations. And I basically kind of like combined that. And I was like, well, if I pad my budget a little bit, I could go custom, and then there are no alterations. It's custom. So in my mind, I was like, this is a worthy investment, even though it's very expensive. I meet with like maybe 4 designers, and I ended up going with this designer based here in New York who we are going to call Kim. Okay. And she really understood my vision. She like really got me right away. The first thing that we did was a Zoom call, which cost me $120, where I showed her my inspo and she drew me a sketch. So this was like the inspo that I provided her. This is a picture of me. And the reason I included this picture was because of the way it fit. I was like, this is the shape of the bodice that I'm after, you know, a little drop waist, super, super fitted. And then these ones I included as like general inspo.
Oké, ik wil het heel even met jullie hebben over deze jurken. Gewoon omdat ik dat leuk vind. De bodice, dus de soort van de buste, de borsten area van degene die zij aan heeft. Ik vind dit echt afschuwelijk. Dat het zo hoog op de borst zit en dat het een soort van hele prominente borsten zijn. Maar, you know, het is haar jurk. You do you, king, queen, whatever. En wat je dus wel echt ziet, is dat het een dropped waist is. Dus dat betekent dat je ziet dat hij is denk ik wel echt een goede 5 centimeter lager dan de taille. De meest slanke stuk. Dat is belangrijk om te onthouden. Als je dan kijkt naar die foto daarboven. Die daarboven is ook, die is nog meer dropped en die is wel rond dropped. En ze heeft dus 2 jurken waarbij het een ronde dropped waist is en 2 jurken waarbij het een rechte dropped waist is. Of in ieder geval een rechtere dropped waist is. Ja, die rokken aan de rechterkant, ik vind dat afschuwelijk. Maar ja, king, queen, you do you, right?
Of like kind of like a romantic shape. This is the sketch that she made me. In theory, like it has everything that I asked for. I remember thinking that like there could be more volume in the skirt at the top, but there was a little bit of pushback from her and my mom as they were.
Ik vind deze sketch dus al gelijk heel anders. Want deze sketch is echt een A-lijn, misschien wel richting een ballgown. Die gekke shape rokken, die zitten er sowieso niet in. Maar goed, ja, zij is er akkoord mee gegaan, dus het zal goed zijn.
I didn't like my vision, I don't know, but this was the sketch. The next step was to go in for my prototype fitting. This was in November 2025. And the prototype is essentially a rough draft of the dress. And this is what mine looked like. I was happy with this. I remember thinking that like there could be more volume in the skirt at the top, but there was a little bit of pushback from her and my mom as they were both kind of like, let's start here. I think neither of them, maybe they didn't like my vision, I don't know, but this was the sketch. The next step was to go in for my prototype fitting. This was in November 2025. And the prototype is essentially a rough draft of the dress. And this is what mine looked like. I was happy with this. It fits me like a glove. I definitely had some edits. As you can see, there's like black Sharpie drawn on the bodice. That's because the princess seams, which are the seams that go like straight down the front right here, were really wide and straight. And I wanted them to be closer together and curved to give me a bit more of a shape. Also, this is like not a drop waist and I wanted it to be dropped a bit. But other than that, like this fit me so well. This was the back. You can see there's like a blue line where it was giving me like crazy back fat. And I was like, let's lower that a little bit to get rid of that. And we were playing with like some lace, some bows. So that was in November. I don't go back until March and you're not ready to see this. Okay, this is the first time I see my dress in the fabric, meaning that was a prototype. This is it made in the fabric. This is what I see when I walk in. Literally diabolical. The waist is like, it doesn't fit me at all. Like this doesn't fit me at all. I'm floating in this dress. It's asymmetrical. One of the boobs is higher than the other. The princess seams have not been adjusted. They're wide. They're a weird shape. There's a weird like bunching happening right down the center of the dress. I'm clipped in. I was not clipped into the prototype. I'm clipped.
Oké, ik wil hier even toevoegen dat ik weet dat als je dus een jurk laat maken, dat je kan beter innemen dan uitnemen. Dus als dit de stof is waarin de echte jurk wordt gemaakt, dan is het niet super gek dat in de prototype of dat in de prototype je wel de goede maat had en dat je hier een grotere maat hebt, omdat ze misschien voor de zekerheid wat extra stof wilde geven, wat extra ruimte wilde geven, om dus te voorkomen dat die uitgenomen moest worden. En meestal is het dus allebei niet zo'n probleem. Dus van wat ik begrijp, laat ze dan extra ruimte achter de naden zitten, zodat je hem dus kan uitnemen, kan innemen. Je weet ook niet, weet je wel, als jij een gestreste bruid bent, misschien ga je wel heel veel eten, misschien ga je wel heel veel afvallen, je weet het niet. Dus dat ze in de eerste versie van de officiële jurk ze geklipt zit, zou mij niet super veel zorgen baren. Ik denk dan, oké, we weten nu wat we willen met de shape. En dan gaan we hem nu in je echte maat maken. Dus daar maak ik me minder zorgen over. De rest, though, dat die rok opeens veel minder poofy is. Het lijkt wel alsof die zo'n snack heeft, weet je wel? Alsof je met je ring aan de stof bent blijven hangen in het midden van de voorkant. Die naden zijn niet mooi. Het is niet best hoor.
Freaking out. In the front. I'm also clipped in the back. I'll show you. The skirt is like deflated, and like this seam across the waist looks so bunchy and weird. This is the back of the dress. I'm completely clipped into it. Like I was not.
Ik moet heel eerlijk zeggen, ik heb wel het gevoel dat de waist wat lager was. Een paar centimeter. Maar
clipped into the prototype. So I don't know what happened here, but I left this appointment freaking out. After that appointment, I sent my first kind of like firm email where it's just kind of like, I'm a little concerned. I'm not seeing a ton of progress. The notes that I gave in November aren't in the dress. Again, princess seams are not adjusted. It has not been a dropped waist. And like, where did the volume go in the skirt? I was like, what's happening here? And they respond, Kim responds, really nice. Don't worry. It takes a little bit of imagination. We're not there yet. Da, da, da. And then I say, can we move my next fitting up? Because there's only supposed to be 3 fittings between the sketch and picking up the dress. And this is fitting number 2. So I'm like, well, I'm going to need more than 3 because there's a lot left to do. So we move my fitting up from March to, that one's at March. The next one's at May, which is this one. So I go in May and my dress looks like this. Dress number 3. This is a third dress. They don't even resemble each other. This is completely different. Still does not fit me. It does not fit me at all. And in this appointment, when I was there, I said, you can take this in a little bit. Like the waist could be tighter. Like look how much bunching there is. Like it's not fitted against my body. And they literally told me no. They were like, no. Like, no, we can't really bring it in anymore. And I'm like, but you can because it doesn't fit. Whatever. They also added cups to the boobs that are giving me like fish eyes. The waist, like the shape of that seam, we've completely lost it and it's just kind of like sagging there. Let me zoom in. Okay, so maybe you can kind of see what I mean, but like this seam right here has like this weird bunching and it's still not a drop waist. It's just like this weird seam, like barely holding it together. The cups are crazy. You can completely see them through the dress. And still, look at how wide and straight the princess seams are. Like, they have not been adjusted. The waist has not been dropped. The princess seams have not been adjusted.
Ja, dit is Julia na de edit. Ik ben weer wat vergeten, mijn excuses. Maar er zijn dus mensen die denken dat deze jurken van SHEIN komen en worden aangepast. Zeker omdat dus elke keer die waist niet verandert, maar wel die rokken er elke keer heel anders uitzien. Ik weet niet of ik het geloof. Die eerste jurk was namelijk in een oefenstof gemaakt, zoals altijd, wat heel normaal is. En een jurk kopen op SHEIN lijkt mij ook gewoon nog veel meer werk dan echt de jurk zelf maken. Nou, dat is misschien niet waar, maar 3 keer een jurk kopen op SHEIN die dan genoeg op elkaar lijkt mij veel meer werk. En dus lijkt het me niet logisch. Maar er zijn wel echt mensen die dit serieus geloven. En hier is een voorbeeld ervan. Die lijkt heel erg op de tweede jurk. Echt heel erg op de tweede jurk. Dus het zou een optie kunnen zijn dat zij dus soort van de tussenversies koopt op SHEIN en aanpast. Maar daar hebben we natuurlijk geen bewijs van. Oké, terug naar de video.
So at this point, I'm freaking out. This is May. My wedding is in August. Okay, I'm like, the dress is not gonna get done by these people because the notes that I gave them in November that I've now reiterated and I've like raised the flags, they're like still not taking place. And again, this has been an expensive experience. Like this is not like a cheap dress. Like I've invested thousands of dollars into this dress. At this point, I've made 3 of my 4 payments. Okay, there's only 4 payments. I've made 3 of them. They have all my money. Okay. I'm so concerned and unhappy about the dress that I actually reach out to Kim and I say, I would like to move up. I would like to add another fitting and I'm still not seeing these things and I need you to execute these things or I need you to tell me that you can't so that I can go elsewhere. Kim responds, she's like, don't worry. It's all going to be fine. Let's add another fitting and we can have an honest conversation about the progress. Like if you're not happy, I go, thank you. Then I start researching I start researching a little bit, and it dawns on me that if I need to buy another dress, I have to do it like that day because I only have so many weeks until my wedding, and, you know, shipping, all of these things. Like, I was kind of like, I have to make a game time decision. So I call my inner circle, and everyone is in agreement that this dress will not get where I want it to get in the next like 6 weeks until my wedding. So, or however many weeks. So I email Kim and I say, thank you so much for all of your hard work. I've really appreciated you and your team being so dedicated to my dress, but I think I need to end our relationship here because I'm not seeing the progress I need to see. And this close to my wedding, like, I can't, like, I only have so many options, but like, thank you for all your hard work from here. Can we please arrange a partial refund? I wasn't sure what she would say to that. You know what I mean? Part of me was kind of like, she's going to say no. Like, she's like, of course she's going to like keep the money and run. We have no contract. But the other part of me was kind of like, well, if she cares about like her reputation and she knows that I'm leaving like unhappy, like, I'm asking for a partial refund, not a full refund. And I'm also not asking for a finished dress because the dress is unfinished and I'm telling her that they can stop working on it. So I thought that a partial refund would be fair. She responds to me and she just says no. She's like, no, the dress, you need to come in for another fitting and your payment's due. That's like literally what she says. So I get some advice from different people, and I basically was like, okay, if you are like refusing to end this partnership with me, which by the way, why not? Like, why do you want to work with me if I don't want to work with you? Like, it doesn't make any sense. No integrity, no artistic integrity, no like business integrity of like her reputation. No, she's not interested in making me happy, nothing. So I was kind of like, okay, well, like, here's all of the things that I need to see in my fitting. And if these things are not present, our agreement is null, but I'll come in. So I went in. Okay, these photos are from June. Reminder, wedding is the 1st of August. This is June. Dress number 4. Like, what is this? This dress looks completely different from the other dresses, okay? I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, I am still completely pinned into this dress. Do you see all of those pins? Yeah, it doesn't fit me. The nipples are in 2 different places. The boobs are like this. She did fix the princess seams, but they're wide on the boob and then they go in, which is so weird. The top of the dress is so high up. It's like cutting into my arms, which the last one was not doing. And the waist, although it fits me better, like at least it's more fitted. Look at all the wrinkling and bunching. Again, still pinned in, all the wrinkling and bunching. This has not been dropped. This has been in the same place the whole entire time. This is what the back of it looks like. Again, we are like a month and some change out from my wedding, and I'm covered in pen and I'm clipped into this dress, including the pins in the front. I'm completely clipped into this dress. Weeks away. I also just want to say that everyone I know who works in fashion, I've shown them this dress and they are all...
Ja, laten we nog heel even naar jurk kijken. Die laatste. Ik snap ook niet waar dan zo... Die rok is niet omlaag gegaan, maar er is wel een soort extra band overheen gezet. Hij zit zo los. En dat je dan hier al die pen erop en al die clips... Ja, hier zou ik ook nerveus van worden als dit een maand voor mijn bruiloft is. Ik weet niet hoor. Goed, dan gaan we naar deel 2.
Okay, wedding dress from hell, part 2. A reminder of where we left off. We are less than 2 months away from my wedding, and this is what my very expensive custom gown looks like. Yeah. So at the end of this appointment, she pulls me into this room, and Kim pulls me into this room that I've never been in before. And I said to her, like, oh, is this new? Because I'd never seen it before. And she was like, no. I was like, okay. She sits down behind this desk with this comically big, like, Mac screen. It's massive. She's like peeking over it like this to make eye contact with me. And she goes, it's just a matter of your payment. Keep in mind. Okay, keep in mind. This dress was only supposed to be covered in 4 payments. I've made 3 of them. And I've had to have extra fittings because this dress is terrible. Like, I'm just gonna say it. This dress looks like it's worth $900 on ASOS. Like, this is a cheap ass SHEIN looking dress that I have sunk thousands of dollars into. Okay, so, and I know that she was trying to intimidate me, but you can't intimidate me that easily. And so I was just like, well, I'll pay when I approve of the dress. And she was like, okay, so you'll come back next week and you'll pay then? And I said, I'll pay when I approve of the dress. Like, I'll pay like at final pickup approval. She goes, okay, thank you for coming, and like ushers me out. That really pissed me off because again, she just has like a complete lack of integrity. And like, you guys, this girl works with like all of the New York City influencer girlies. Like, you've seen her on Instagram. Like, I was shocked that she really did not care about just like treating me really poorly. And like, was she gonna let me walk down the aisle in that dress and be like, yeah, Kim made this, and she was gonna be happy about that? Like, we have different ideas of like what a good dress is if she was gonna be proud of that dress and proud of that construction. Anyway, so she follows up with me after that appointment and she's like, hey, so your dress is ready for pickup. Like 4 days later, she's like, your dress is ready for pickup and you have a payment due. And I go, okay, well, I have some questions. I was like, why is it that my dress is suddenly ready for pickup when things I've been asking for since November, they hadn't taken place in March, they hadn't taken place in May, they hadn't taken place in June, and now you're telling me that between the beginning of June and the end of June, suddenly my dress is ready for pickup. Like, what changed in that time? She sends me this ChatGPT ass response, just like GPT, whatever, basically telling me like, well, pretty much all of the construction is done. And I'm like, but it isn't done because I've had the same notes since the end of last year. Like, what do you mean? It's not done. So I repeat myself. I go, sorry, let me clarify. Like, I'm interested in understanding what's changed because I trusted you for all of these months and I even ended our relationship and you pushed back the whole time. And now all of a sudden you're telling me that the dress is ready for pickup. What changed? She copy and pastes her last email and sends it to me again. She just sends me the same thing. So at this point, I'm like, I can't wear this dress. Like, not only is it like a really ugly dress that was really poorly made and just looks like a cheap like school project, I also, like, this girl has like the worst energy. She's got the worst energy. And I'm like, well, I don't want that on my wedding day. I don't want your like tainted vibes on my wedding day. Like, I don't need that. So I do have a different dress, and that dress is a whole other story, and it's amazing, and I'm very excited to wear it. And so I sent her an email literally like a week ago, because she kept asking me to come in and not answering my questions. So I sent her an email like a week ago being like, hey Kim, I had to go in another direction, like, wish you the best. So that was my second time breaking up with her, and I know I will never hear from her again. I will not hear from her again. She's going to keep my money. She's not going to apologize. She's not going to say, like, I'm sorry that you didn't have the experience that we take pride in brides having with us. Like, she has no integrity. And I mean, I'm not gonna like say her name on here. Her name, I like blurred the background in all of those photos. Like, I'm not trying to blow her up, but best believe I am telling everyone I know in the industry, like all of my friends who work in fashion, all of my friends who work in fashion PR, all of my friends who work in media, the only thing you can do in New York City is like word of mouth. And like, I am not being shy about this experience because I literally feel like she scammed me. I feel like she never made my account a priority. And in addition to being incredibly rude to me, she never put the proper amount of time and effort into a garment that I paid for. And so I know she's gonna keep my money. She must really need it. Okay. And I know I'll never hear from her again. And it's like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And
Ja, ik vind het toch zo bijzonder, zeker in this day and age. En zeker als je dus veel werkt met influencers, is het gewoon zo stom om geen juiste klantenservice te hebben. En juiste klantenservice hoeft echt niet te betekenen dat je altijd met alles van elke klant helemaal mee moet gaan. En dat je altijd volledig soort van ja en amen moet zeggen tegen iedereen. Want dat hoeft echt niet. Je ziet het ook vaak genoeg op platforms zoals TikTok, dat een klant komt zeuren. En dat mensen, ondanks dat ze alleen maar de kant van de klant kennen, zeggen: ik ben het eigenlijk wel eens met de designer, het restaurant. Omdat je gewoon merkt wanneer mensen unreasonable zijn. Hier is dat gewoon als iemand zoveel issues heeft met die jurk, dan is het toch gewoon prima om de eerste keer dat zij zegt, hey, ik ga een andere route nemen, om te zeggen, is goed, hier heb je je geld terug. Ik snap dat er tijd, energie en moeite in zit, maar het werkte gewoon niet tussen hun. En als dan hetgene wat zij van jou vraagt steeds niet gebeurt, dan heeft zij eigenlijk wel gewoon poten om op te staan, om te zeggen, joh, ik wil mijn geld terug. Nou, er is een deel 3, die kwam later volgens mij, maar die gaan we wel eerst even kijken.
I forgot a detail, and this is reminding me. In the last appointment where she pulled me into the room and was like, you need to pay, that day, that night, she sent me a DocuSign with all of the notes on it from that day's fitting. Granted. After my first fitting in fabric, which was like pretty insane, I said, moving forward, I want to receive all of the notes after each fitting so I can make sure that we're like tracking with like the same goals in mind. She never did that. It was always me following up, being like, this is everything that, like, that I'm recapping our fitting. This is everything that needs to take place before the next appointment. Like, I was the one who ended up doing all of that. And then after that fitting, where she pulls me in a room and asks me to pay, she sends me a DocuSign. And I'm like, no. You think you're going to send me some sort of legal document? You're going to get me to like sign something? You should have given me a contract from the jump. That's your bad that you didn't. That's on you, okay? I'm not doing that now. So I literally responded and I was like, I'm not going to move forward with that. Trying to play me.
Ja. Oh, het is echt zo ingewikkeld, want weet je, het is natuurlijk wel zo dat als je custom jurken aanbiedt, dat het gewoon de bedoeling is dat het ook custom is en dat je luistert naar de wens van de bruid. En als jij elke keer weer niet doet wat zij vraagt of niet zegt, hé, dat kan niet. Dat kan, hè. Als jij persoonlijk iets niet kan in jouw skillset, of als iets constructionally soort van niet kan, maar dan moet je dat aangeven. Je kan niet zeggen, ja, is goed, dat gaan we aanpassen en dan het vervolgens niet doen. En deze vrouw, die had gewoon vanaf het begin al door van, dit gaat niet goed, want anders dan vraag je niet, ik wil dat je opschrijft wat je gaat aanpassen, zodat we daar track van kunnen houden. En dan doet ze dat niet en dan gaat die vrouw dat zelf maar sturen. She knew what's up. Zij wist dat dat fout ging. Ja, dit is dus gewoon echt super interessant. En toen na deze video even kijken, wat is een logische volgorde? Heeft Undone by Kate gereageerd. Nou, dat is vast een goed idee. Weet je, het is ook zonde. Kijk, mensen die hadden... Wacht, ik ga even jullie batterij... ja, daar zijn we weer. Mensen in de comments hadden heel snel dat geconnect dat dit ging over Undone by Kate. Ik weet niet hoe, ik weet niet waarom. Maar zij heeft heel netjes de hele tijd haar naam niet gezegd. En ik denk dan toch wel van... Kijk, die video die had 6 miljoen views. Op een punt kon Alexandra, heet deze bruid, die heeft in het begin echt zo, elke keer dat Undone by Kate werd gementiond, heeft ze die comments verwijderd. Om dus te voorkomen dat er superveel hele slechte PR voor Undone by Kate zou ontstaan. Op een punt ging dat niet meer. Dus mensen hebben hun eigen ervaring. Want hoe zouden ze anders weten dat het over haar gaat? Ja, mensen waren er dus achter gekomen dat het ging over Undone by Kate. En toen heeft Undone by Kate zelf een video opgenomen. Wat natuurlijk nooit een goed idee is.
Hi, my name is Kate and I'm the founder and designer of Undone by Kate. You've probably seen a video circulating online about an unfinished wedding dress that was created here in my studio. And I'm here to provide some additional context and clarity on the situation. First and foremost, I think it's extremely important to understand that this bride has been issued a refund. On July 14th, I reached out to her directly and offered her a full refund. I sent her this email and she graciously accepted and said, thank you for the resolution. At that point, I thought this would be handled and human to human, the record would be set straight. But unfortunately, that's not what happened online. And any comment proving that she was refunded was quickly deleted, further fueling the fire of this narrative that's currently online. It's also very important to note what goes into the custom dressmaking process.
Oké, ik zet er heel even op pauze. Stel dat ze wel een refund heeft gegeven, want daar komen we zo even op terug. Maar stel dat er een volle refund is, snap ik wel heel erg wat Kate zegt van waarom zet je dit dan nog online? Waarom moet er dan nog een haatcampagne overheen? En tuurlijk, zij heeft haar naam niet gezegd, maar tuurlijk, het is ook het internet, we komen achter mensen hun namen. Dat is gewoon hoe dat gaat. Ehm, Stel dat Kate wel de volle refund heeft gegeven, zou ik het ook niet chill, of vind ik het ook niet helemaal eerlijk dat je dan alsnog dit hele verhaal online gaat gooien. Aan de andere kant, het is haar verhaal. En als zij dat wil vertellen, dan mag zij dat vertellen. Zeker op de manier waarop ze het heeft gedaan, omdat ze dus niet heeft gezegd, dit is het bedrijf, daar moet je niet heen gaan, maar omdat ze gewoon het verhaal vertelt van wat ze heeft meegemaakt. Maar stel dat die hele refund er al was, dan vraag ik me ook wel een beetje af wat de toegevoegde waarde was voor Alexandra om het online te zetten.
When we start, we have a consultation and I learn everything about the things you like and the things you didn't like dress shopping. I will never copy an exact dress, but I will take everything that you told me and put it into a sketch for you. Then we go through the sketches together and we talk about iterations, things you don't like about the sketch and things you maybe do. We ultimately decided on this sketch, which is the blueprint and what we referenced to get to the final gown. And this is the final gown that was created. Your first step is usually a prototype fitting. And the prototype fitting...
Ja, oké, maar over die sketch had zij dus al gezegd van ja, in principe is dit wel alles wat ik heb gezegd, maar ik wil meer volume aan de bovenkant van de rok. Dat is dus niet gebeurd. En de bruid was niet helemaal enthousiast over de sketch, maar ze zeiden ook van dit is waar we beginnen en dan gaan we later meer adden. Dat was het idee ervan. Dus dat dan nu die jurk lijkt op de sketch, dat is dan niet helemaal relevant, omdat ze later nog verder zouden gaan aan het design.
Fitting is a draft of your dress made to feel the silhouette on your body. And we make adjustments, we can change things in that fitting, and we have an open conversation about what you're liking and not liking. When you get into your first fitting in your fabric, by all means, your dress is nowhere near complete. It's very different than when you go dress shopping at a typical bridal shop and you try on your gown for the first time complete and you make alterations. We're actually molding a dress onto your body, and things can change. Measurements can change, design aspects can change, and that's what's so great about the custom process is that we're here to adapt, trial and error, and move through it together. Sometimes no two dresses are created the same, and it's not as black and white. Sometimes you can have 3-4 fittings in your final fabric, and sometimes you can have 2. I want it to be extremely clear that I would never let a bride walk out of my studio, let alone down the aisle, in the state of the photos that you saw that gown in. In this case, we had a final fitting on the books, and the final fitting is where you get to see your final dress come to life. Unfortunately, this bride rescheduled her final fitting less than 24 hours in advance, and despite multiple follow-up attempts, she ultimately let us know she was moving in a different direction. I have done everything I can to make it right. I have issued her a full refund, I've apologized, and I've absorbed all the costs, time, labor, and materials of that beautiful dress. I really wish that that full context could have been shared here before I had to make this video. But unfortunately, now I'm receiving death threats and negative reviews from people who have never stepped foot in my studio. I'm so sorry that the process shook out the way it did for her, and I wish that we could have gotten to that final fitting. To wrap it up, I know that concerns were raised during this process, and I saw them too. We documented them and continued to work through them. But custom bridal is absolutely a journey. And I will continue to...
Right. Dat over van die doodsbedreigingen, dat is echt zo'n standaard zinnetje wat bedrijven gebruiken op het moment dat ze backlash krijgen. En ik zeg niet dat ze niet krijgt, maar ik vraag me af, wie zou dat doen? Wie stuurt er doodsbedreigingen over een trouwjurk die niet van jou is? Ik weet gewoon niet of ik het helemaal geloof. En al is het wel zo... Oh, is het je eerste dag op het internet? Ja, kijk, het is niet leuk. Maar het is ook wel een beetje zo'n manipulatietechniek om sympathie te krijgen van het internet. Van, oh nee, ze krijgt doodsbedreigingen. En het is niet goed. Het praat niet goed. Het is verschrikkelijk. Ik vraag me gewoon af, is het echt zo? Of zeggen mensen dat gewoon om een beetje sympathie te krijgen? En is het gewoon een soort strategie die ze gebruiken? Toen heeft Alexandra daar weer op gereageerd met de volgende video.
Hi, Kate. You have me blocked, but I have seen the video. It's been sent to me. I did not realize you were receiving death threats. That's ridiculous. You guys, it's a dress. It's not that big of a deal, and it's my dress. I'm the only one who's like allowed to be mad about it, and like that's way too intense and like way too far and ridiculous. That said, no need to lie. Let's look up some receipts. Okay, you posted this in a comment saying that it was understood that I would be getting a full refund after I told you that I wanted to end our partnership. Interesting, because here's what you said to me over email. That said, because this is a fully custom garment, blah, 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 we are not able to offer a refund or cancel remaining balance. Payments made toward your work are non-refundable and the final installment remains due. It was never understood that you would be refunding me, as it clearly stated in that email, which you sent me that twice. There was very clear that you would not be refunding me. Also, you said that I canceled my last fitting. That's not true. I never made my last fitting because I was unhappy and uncomfortable and I didn't want to go back because I was really trying to have my wedding dress experience be positive. Lastly, you said that I've been deleting comments that are saying that you gave me a refund. That's not true. That's childish. I would never do that. The only comments that I've deleted are comments that haven't mentioned your brand name, which I have not mentioned and I will not mention. I did not out you. I did not out you and I will not out you. That was a choice that you made. I don't know how the internet works, honestly. It's crazy. The last thing that I'm going to say is that they did come to me as a recommendation.
Oké, er zijn dus 2 dingen die gek zijn. Want Kate die zegt dat ze een refund heeft gegeven en dat Alexandra dat heeft geaccepteerd. Alexandra zegt, daar weet ik niks van. Dus dat is gek. Want soort van, is er nou een refund geweest? Ja of nee? Wacht, ik ga op de TikTok kijken van Alexandra of daar iets over staat. Of ze dat al heeft ontvangen. Nee, ze heeft er niks over gezegd. Ik ga nog even kijken wat er nou in die video stond van Kate. Oké, er staat dat ze binnen 7 tot 10 dagen een full refund zal krijgen. Maar dat is op 14 juli. Wanneer is deze video gepost? 3 dagen geleden. 18 juli heeft ze dit gepost. Wanneer heeft Alexandra gepost? Dat is 5 dagen geleden. Oké, dus de full refund is wel geissued voordat de video online kwam, maar zij wist dat dus niet. Dus dat is ingewikkeld. Oké, dus ze hebben allebei een beetje gelijk daarin. Dat is ingewikkeld. Aan de andere kant liegt Kate dus over, tenminste ja, we weten natuurlijk niet wie er liegt, maar ik ben toch wel geneigd om Alexandra te geloven over Kate, omdat Kate dus een beetje gekke moves heeft de hele tijd. Dat ze een laatste appointment al had afgezegd binnen 24 uur, terwijl Alexandra zegt, ik had helemaal geen laatste appointment. Dus iemand liegt hier en we weten niet wie. Ja, ik weet niet. Ik denk gewoon dat het zo dom is om zo'n video te maken, omdat ook als er heel veel speculatie was geweest dat het om jou gaat, zolang je het niet bevestigt, denk ik dat je die storm heus wel kan soort van over laten waaien. Als je gewoon niet bevestigd even offline gaat. Ik denk echt dat die storm zo over had kunnen gaan. Maar doordat zij zich er nu mee bemoeit, is er zoveel extra aandacht naar deze hele situatie gegaan. Nou, we gaan nog even naar wat takes van andere mensen luisteren. Maar ik wil eerst even naar wat trouwjurk kijken. Want allereerst, dit is dus de trouwjurk van Alexandra af. Dus hij is afgemaakt. Er is nu een dropped waist. Er zijn nu betere princess seams. Hij lijkt ook aan de binnenkant goed af te zijn. En toch is dit denk ik niet wat zij wilde. Want aan de bovenkant is er nog steeds weinig volume. Ja, ik word hier medium enthousiast. Die 2 streaks op de achterkant word ik ook echt helemaal niet enthousiast van. Maar dat is misschien wat Alexandra wilde. I don't know. Het is niet mijn stijl. Ja, dus ook ik vind nog steeds die plooi niet super mooi. Een beetje rommelig. Het is gewoon niet wat zij wilde, right? En als we dan naar andere jurken gaan kijken, dan heb je deze. En ik vind dit gewoon ook niet mooi afgewerkt. Je ziet helemaal zo die mouw omrollen, omvouwen. Die riem is super crooked en zo. Het ziet er gewoon niet mooi uit. Je hebt hier een video die zegt when the dress fits like a glove. En die zit dus te strak bij de oksels, waardoor ze plooi krijgt. Maar ook de nek hangt los. Ja, je doet het ook een beetje zelf als je daar dan een titel overheen zet. When the dress fits you like a glove. Er zijn ook gewoon best wel wat jurken die ze maakt die ik gewoon echt niet mooi vind, zoals deze. Ik hou er niet van dat hij dan zo boven de grond hangt. En dat hij zo vierkant is aan de onderkant, maar dat is misschien wel gewoon een kwestie van smaak. Dit is echt, ik vind dit afschuwelijk. En ik denk, ja, hier zie je dus ook wel gewoon, die rug is rommelig. En dat zie je van zo'n mega afstand, dat dat niet mooi zit. Is niet super hoor, is niet best. En hij is dus te lang, want hij hangt voor de voeten terwijl ze op zo'n pedestal staat. Ja, dit is het niet. Dit is echt niet. Oh ja, 4 trouwjurken in 1 jurk. Hoe zou dat eruit komen te zien? Oh, yikes. Te kort, die strik op de... Nou, goed, kwestie van smaak. En we hebben nog deze. Ja, sorry, maar je ziet gewoon een soort gat onder haar bodice. Ik denk niet dat dat de bedoeling was. Je hebt deze. Dit is echt... Wat is dit? Het lijkt wel een soort dekbed overtrek, zo gekreukeld. En dan de ergste is denk ik deze. Zelfs op de pop zie je dat hij gewoon niet mooi gemaakt is. Nou, dat waren even wat jurken die ik wilde laten zien. Dan gaan we denk ik als eerste naar een andere negatieve ervaring met Kate.
Not to pile on, but my sister-in-law went and got a dress done by Undone by Kate, which really is apropos because all her dresses come undone. The craziest thing is she gave a reference, like a dress she had already made for a celebrity. She just wanted the exact same thing, but in a different color. So it was kind of like, wait, so you know how to make it? No. We would go there and we would tell them like, okay, this isn't working, we want to take this in and we want this to be longer. We'd come back, nothing was done except for completely different alterations that didn't make any sense. So we were like, okay, so we don't want this. I don't know why you altered this. Now it's too tight. We don't want these cups. We want this to be longer. They were doing stuff to the dress that no one asked for and then not doing what we asked for. And then in turn made the most hodgepodge. Like you could see sewing seam. It was like literally like all over the place. It was like crooked. And these are supposed to be like straight lines because it was like fringy. I took videos at every single fitting we had with her saying like, okay, this is what we're doing. Because I knew the next month I was going to show them like, hey, this is what I asked for. And this is not done on the dress. And so I started to get really kind of like mean to them, but like, I didn't know what they want me to do. And eventually we emailed Kate because she was never there at any of the fittings until like at the end when we complained so hard because we were like, this dress is ugly. It's too heavy. The sewing is bad. The stitching is bad. But, you know, I'm paying thousands of dollars. Like, what is going on? And then she shows up and the dress still sucked. But my sister-in-law is like really nice. So she just was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to like...
Ja, hier moet je dus even, dit moet je even onthouden. Want strakjes komt er een mogelijke verklaring waardoor ik denk, dingen vallen op zijn plek.
Okay, I'm back in bed so I can give the part 2 tea. Okay, so this was the reference photo that my sister-in-law gave. Looks good. Looks like, okay, you've made this dress before, so let's make it again. I didn't go to the first fitting, so this is the second fitting. It looks fine, but obviously like you can tell that the stitching at the bottom is off, and when she turns around, like her whole ass is out. So that isn't gonna work. And she said between the first and second fitting, nothing changed. And now we go to fitting number 3.
completely different dress. They added 5 more layers of fringe so that it's now to her knees, which was never asked. It was never in the notes to make it longer, but all of a sudden now she's like going to the T, like she's a debutante instead of like a second dress to your wedding that you're trying to like be frilly and fun in. I remind you, this is fitting number 3, and fitting number 4, as it stated in her contract, you could take the dress home. Okay, so then we get to fitting number 4. I'm gonna show you these photos. It doesn't look that bad. You look at them and you're like, wow, okay, like maybe she got there. This is the issue. And I saw people commenting like, how could you not see that she's so bad? Her stuff photographs well. Like even in these photos, you can like, it doesn't look bad, but in person, it's bad. Like the seams were all off, the stitching was all off. If she even dared to move, you could see underneath how like, instead of it being like a half an inch between each like fringe, seam of the fringe, it was like half an inch, an inch, an inch and a quarter inch, an inch, all mixed match. So if she wanted to move, it would look insane. The dress would look undone. And even in the back, you can see all 4 fittings, we asked them to take it in every single time. You can see there's clamps on every single photo. Even in this last one, it still needed to be taken in. She has a good figure, but this dress made her look like she was a box. Like, I love her, I love you. Not doing her any favors because they would not take it in. Every single time they had to put clamps on her. The fringe, it was so heavy that it was puckering the entire zipper, so it looked like so wonky and off in the back. Like, okay, fine, it looks good in photos, but it looks horrible in person. Like, I paid thousands of dollars for this. And I know the girl before said that she didn't have a contract with her, but I know my sister-in-law had a contract, and kind of because they had a contract, the girl pretty much acted like, well, it's not my fault that you don't like my ugly dress. This is part 3, the end of the saga. My sister-in-law actually ended up not wearing the dress to her wedding. It just was it was too awful. And she ended up, so at your 4th fitting, you're supposed to be able to take it home. She was not able to take it home because it was not complete. So they ended up just sending her the dress complete and still need to be taken in. And so she went to another seamstress, but the seamstress was pretty much like, we can't do anything about it. Like, this dress is so hodgepodge. And she ended up wearing a different dress. This was the dress, and it was from Annie's Ibiza. Comfortable and easy. Obviously, we wish we would have found that earlier, but we would have never had this saga. It was...
Ja, ik vind die jurk er echt niet uitzien. Ook dat je dan... Het grote thema is dus dat je... de eerste fitting is oké-ish. Dan wil je aanpassingen doen. Dan geef je door welke aanpassingen je wil doen. En dan kom je de volgende keer en dan zijn er allemaal andere dingen gedaan. Behalve de dingen die je wil aanpassen. En daar zit iets interessants. Even kijken naar welke video we gaan. Oké, ik heb even het begin geskipt, want ze is echt 2 minuten bezig met uitleggen wie zij is en wat zij doet. Maar zij heeft dus heel lang in fashion gewerkt. Of ze werkt in fashion. En ze ziet zelf ook wanneer een designer echt goed kan designen en dus ook naaien en dus de technische termen kent. Of wanneer iemand... Ja, zij zegt dus, mag je jezelf eigenlijk geen designer noemen als je niet de technische termen kent over hoe je een jurk maakt, maar ze ontwerpt alleen de jurken.
And so on and so forth. She can pretty much sew a seam, and that seems to be the extent of her sewing expertise. I think she has done the classic fake it till you make it extremely well. The role she serves right now, from my perspective, and again with all of the evidence presented, is that she is a developer. She's cosplaying a designer. What she's doing is the developing. You'll see her throughout the content sometimes making things like gluing on sequins and rhinestones, making little props. Like I saw she made Remy Bader's Glinda costume for Halloween a couple years back, and she was sewing the individual crystals onto the wand. However, many of her videos feature very briefly the actual factory which these are being sewn in, and to me it appears that it's also in Manhattan. However, she never names it. She gives off the appearance that everything's happening in this small little shop, and she is kind of the face. She's the one coming to these fittings. She is the brand, and she will be there pinning the garment, kind of pin tucking for little fittings. And to be honest, anybody can do that. I think she's doing all of that, and then she's bringing it back to the factory, relaying that information and the notes from the fittings, and then she has all of these seamstresses actually doing the work. Again, nowhere does she credit them, name them, any of that. I went to school with a lot of women just like her who have the vision. I think she has great vision. I think she has great taste. She knows what she wants things to be. She just can't actually make them herself. She doesn't have the construction knowledge. She doesn't have the technical skills to do it. So she has to hire that work, to source that work, to white label that work per se, because she wants to give off the impression that she is a true designer. In my opinion, you can't call yourself a designer if you can't actually give the factory the information, the technical information to tell them how to make it. Anybody can open up an iPad and sketch and make beautiful drawings, but if you don't know seam types, stitch types, fabric knowledge, garment construction, laundering, you are not a designer. Once again, speculation. I think that she found this factory, this company, and realized how much money she could make crossing into the bridal industry, again, because she had the vision, and that's all she needed. She had these people to do the actual heavy lifting, the work, because she can't. If you scroll back to her early construction stuff or videos where you can see she is actually sewing, the quality is extremely poor. You don't go from having a men's polo, adding elastic at the bands, making a little two-piece set, to couture bridal custom gowns. You just don't.
I would consider this another video where you can see she's cosplaying designer. She's tucking it, she's playing with it, she's looking like she's doing something. She's just pinning, she's not doing anything. And then fast forward to this, that's not her hand. That right there, that's an actual seamstress.
The unfortunate thing is, I believe honestly there's a great story to tell here, and it would make people that much more interested in working with her, hiring her, if she told the story of the factory that she's using in New York. Give credit to these women doing the actual work. Acknowledge your part, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I felt very obligated to make this video because I see people bashing the work just to bash the work without actually knowing what they're talking about. Do I agree in this situation the bride was not getting what she wanted? Yes. Again, I think that comes down to she, being Kate, didn't know how to communicate properly with the women sewing the garments, how to actually make what she wanted. Sometimes it works, and I saw mini gowns on the page that were gorgeous and well made, so just know when you're
Right. En ik denk eigenlijk dat dit dus het grote geheim is en de reden is waardoor elke keer er zo'n verschil zit tussen hetgene wat mensen dus willen veranderen en hetgene wat veranderd wordt, is omdat Kate niet de taal heeft om aan de seamstresses te zeggen wat er moet gebeuren en omdat ze het dus niet opschrijft. Dus een soort van take notes, letterlijk, Kate, soort als zij nou gewoon vanaf het begin zou opschrijven van dit is wat er veranderd moet worden. En misschien gewoon even een paar naailesjes neemt, zodat ze in ieder geval iets beter begrip krijgt over de constructie van zo'n jurk. Dat er al heel veel miscommunicatie weg zou gaan. Of zorg gewoon dat die seamstresses bij de fittings zijn. Maar ja, dan kan je natuurlijk niet meer de fantasie verkopen van een meisje in New York die er dromen achterna gaat en die alles zelf doet. Want dat is dan niet meer zo. En dat betekent dus eigenlijk dat je gewoon een bedrijf hebt en gewoon creative director bent, maar niet degene bent die het echt uitvoert. Dan hebben we nog eentje, maar ik twijfel dus een beetje of dit ook van Kate is.
I was just sent the videos of this dress gate, and unfortunately this exact same thing happened to me, except it's with the designer that makes all of that designer's looks. So from my understanding, we'll call her Kim, does the design process, and then she works through another dressmaker, custom outfit maker, that actually executes and makes all of the looks. At least that's how it was 2 years ago whenever I contracted my dress. So I went through another dressmaker. She makes a ton of the big influencers looks. She's made a ton for We Wore What. She's made a ton for like Abby Baffo and I'm pretty sure Acquired Style. So all the big New York City influencers have worked with her. And I was the same way as this other girl. I wanted something totally custom. I couldn't find it anywhere. And I did the math and was like, this is actually probably a little bit more cost effective than finding an actual dress and having to get alterations. So I wanted something very simple. It was a silk dress, train, low cut, low back, halter. And I couldn't really find exactly what I wanted. So she quoted me $3,400 at our initial consultation. I was like, easy, done, that's great. She told me that half was due up front, and then when the dress is finished, the rest will be due. I said, that's fine. I paid her, I'm pretty sure it was like $1,300 or whatever that math is. It was with tax, so it was a little more than half. And she made the sketch. It was exactly what I wanted. I can insert a photo. Okay, this is what she sketched me. At the bottom here, there's like, that's like supposed to be lace because I kind of wanted some lace along the bottom peeking out. Silk white dress, low back, like kind of like a cowl neck in the back, cinched at the waist a little bit, and then like low in the front, and then you can see there's like kind of lace around, around the edges, like up here around around the front. So I went to New York. I live in Chicago. I went to New York in August of 2023 to try on the prototype dress. This is what they made in like random fabric so that we can make adjustments. And then from here, it was agreed upon in writing that we would have another fitting before they made the full dress. So there's a lot of adjustments that we made here. I think this was after they pinned everything, but like there was no train. Obviously there was no lace, so I picked out the lace and the fabric. This is what we picked out. It was like a stark white fabric. This is the lace. Again, a very white fabric. It's not champagne, it's literally white. Okay, I found the invoice. It was $3,800 I was quoted. I think this might include the veil that we ended up adding. And then it's 50% due at time of deposit at start of production, and then 50% whenever the dress is complete. So it was in total $4,270 that I was quoted with tax and like the credit card fee and whatever. Okay, I'm blocking someone's name here, but this was our text after that fitting. There was no train on the muslin gown, so I was like 2.5 foot train is what I wanted and what I told the seamstress that was there. And I said, is the final amount due now? Because she sent me a link to pay. I was like, is the final amount due now or at the final fitting? And she said, it's due now that we moved to the final. But my dress wasn't complete yet. And that's not what the invoice said whenever I first paid. So, but I was kind of afraid of this girl. So I stupidly just paid it because I was just nervous. And I mean, this was my wedding dress. Like I needed a dress. So I paid it anyways. Okay, blocking out an email here, but I needed to go back for my next fitting. And I said, and again, I'm in Chicago, so I can't just like pop into New York. And I said, to confirm, I will be trying on the muslin dress, which was the prototype dress that incorporates the update that we talked about from my original fitting. She said, yes, confirm this fitting would be your first fitting with the updated design. We'll keep an eye out. So, and again, I said muslin fitting. So I was thinking I was trying on that same blue prototype dress. To go back, this is what I was supposed to be trying on. Train, white silk dress, low back, halter neck with the lace. Again, this is what I picked out, the fabric. This is what I was given. And I walked in and I said, was expecting the blue dress. I said, is this my dress? And she said, yeah, this is it. We just made it. Okay. Why is the bottom cut? I don't even have my shoes yet. You have no idea how tall I need to be in this dress. It's obviously way too short. This is like a column. Like, where's the train? Where's the flow? And also, this is the complete wrong fabric. This is like a off-white creamy fabric. I picked a stark white fabric, and you can see this fabric is like pulling yellow. It's cream. It's not this like stark white fabric that I originally picked. And it was also very dirty. My mom was with me, and I'm like was too afraid to say something, but she was like, "Are you gonna dry clean this dress before we take it home?" Or like, because I wasn't taking it home this day, but it was dirty and fingerprints all over it, marks, and she was like, yeah, I guess we could clean it up. This is my wedding dress. We made a lot of adjustments from this fitting, and again, this is my wedding dress, so I was just like, what am I gonna do? And as soon as we left, she sent me an invoice for like an increase of $3,000 of what we agreed upon. I didn't end up answering her because we weren't adding anything that was additional from what we originally talked about, and I like needed to go back through our text messages and like actually get my shit together to ask her why we keep increasing the budget, because we were up to like $7,000 at this point pre-tax. So again, blocking out a name here, but I said I want to chat with you about the dress. It's a custom down, so it's definitely an upcharge, but I am now paying double what I was originally quoted, $3,800. I stated everything I wanted in our initial phone consult, which has not deviated from what the dress is now, aside from the chiffon edition. So I think we wanted to add like, I don't know, I needed to do something to this dress. So I think we were going to add like chiffon on the back in a sort of like a train type thing. I don't know. I have a picture of it, but that original price was still a little over my budget, but I was fine with it. I feel like I'm now being upcharged for things that were supposed to be included originally. Like we had talked about buttons. Again, I included, the total is now coming to $7,585 for what feels like an extremely simple gown. If I knew I would be paying this much, I would not have moved forward with this dress at all. Yada, yada. Yada, yada. Okay, you can pause to read this. I'm blocking out her name down here, but I was saying like, had I known I would be paying in totality, I would not have moved forward based on like what this dress ended up looking like. I talked about how the fabric was different. At some point before this also, I ended up having to pay an upcharge for the lace, even though we talked about that originally. So like I was asking for the upcharges for the lace to be taken out. The 2.5 foot train confirmation that she said would be included. Confirmation that like I would be trying on that muslin gown. And I was asking for a refund so that I could have all the funds credited back to me since I didn't have a dress, so that I could move forward with an alternate dress that is within the original price range you quoted me and is more in line with my expectations. And this was in February of 2024. I was getting married in July of 2024. So I needed to figure this out, and I did not want to work with this person anymore based on the result that they gave me because it was so poorly made. It was so bad. So very long story short-ish. She basically declined to give me a refund. She did credit me back like, I think I ended up paying like $6,200, and she credited me back like $1,200. But I didn't have the dress. I didn't want to move forward with her. Like all they did was create my wedding. So
Ja, afschuwelijk. Als dit inderdaad echt de seamstress is waarmee Undone by Kate werkt, dan snap je nu natuurlijk waar alle drama vandaan komt en dan is ze gewoon niet zo goed. Ik snap gewoon niet zo goed, als je er zo niet goed in bent, dan zal je toch elke keer dit gezeik hebben en dan wil je toch gewoon niet meer dit als werk. En ook, ik snap gewoon niet zo goed, hoe dit nu allemaal pas uitkomt. Maar blijkbaar zijn er dus wel mensen die wel ook heel tevreden zijn. Ik denk dat dat ook misschien een afhankelijk is van hoe snel je tevreden bent met iets. En dat hangt dan misschien wel weer samen met hoeveel fast fashion draag je en hoe erg ben je gewend aan crooked seams en dat soort dingen. Hou even op je trouwjurk. Kom op zeg. Er was nog één meisje waarvan ik wat wilde laten zien.
Really pisses me off about this whole Undone by Kate wedding dress situation. She is capable of good quality work. She is capable of being an attentive designer who delivers what the bride is requesting. But it seems that she only provides that if you're an influencer or if you have some kind of following or a notable figure of some sort. She's not going to give the same care and thought and work to you know, the common woman, which is just so fucking stupid because the rates aren't different. There isn't an influencer rate and a normal lady rate. Everybody's spending money, and yet you're only going to give good work to someone with a following? You don't need a following to go online and blast your ass, as she is now learning. And it's so dumb that she came online and addressed this because the woman didn't even say her name. Like, why are you telling on yourself? Being unethical, it's one thing. Fuck you forever for that. But being stupid and unethical?
Oké, jongens, mijn Mike houdt er echt elk moment mee op. Is zo stom. Ik heb hem pas een jaar. En hij doet het gewoon niet meer goed. Dus ik moet hem gaan afronden. Maar het zou natuurlijk zo kunnen zijn dat als Undone by Kate echt met deze andere naaister werkt en de kwaliteit echt verschilt tussen influencers en normale mensen, dat ze gewoon de verschillende seamstress op verschillende levels heeft gerankt en dat ze de belangrijke klanten naar de belangrijkste of de beste seamsters doet en de minder belangrijke klanten naar minder goede. Which would be crazy. Maar al met al, deze hele situatie stinkt van alle kanten. Het klopt niet. Het is vreselijk voor die vrouwen die zo... Weet je trouwjurk, zeker voor... Ik denk echt voor vrouwen die de route gaan van een custom trouwjurk. Die dromen al hun hele leven van een trouwjurk. Want die hebben een specifiek beeld. Die willen niet iets wat iedereen aan heeft. En dan vind ik het juist nog zieliger dat precies bij hun het zo fout gaat. En er zo onzorgvuldig met hun wensen om wordt gegaan. En ladida, weet je wel, dit zijn echt zulke mega first world problems. I get it. Maar als je er zo naar uitkijkt, kan ik me zo die teleurstelling zo erg voorstellen. Ja. Dus dat is de hele Undone by Kate drama op dit moment. Ik moet echt gaan editen, anders hou ik het nooit voor 4 uur. Ik hoop dat je het interessant vond. Ik vond het heel boeiend om echt video na video na video als paddenstoelen uit de grond te zien schieten. Er zijn wel een paar mooie jurken. Ik moet heel eerlijk zeggen, ik vind het meest gewoon niet mooi, maar het is misschien ook gewoon een smaakdingetje. Ja, basically, wees niet een eikel tegen je klanten. Wees lief voor je klanten, zeker als ze hier heel veel geld betalen en ze je heel erg vertrouwen. Luister naar wat ze te zeggen hebben. Schrijf tijdens je doorpassen om te kijken of je alles goed onthoudt. I don't know. Don't be like Kate. Dat is denk ik de boodschap van deze video. Als je er nog bent, oh my god, strijder, love you. Thanks for watching. Laat me weten wat voor trouwjurk jij zou willen als je zou gaan trouwen. En je hoeft natuurlijk niet helemaal te zeggen welk specifiek jurk, maar zou je een grote jurk willen, een kleine jurk? Wat zijn jouw wensen? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment for engagement. En ik zie jullie in de volgende. Bye guys.